Howdy everybody, how y'all doing? And welcome to the Ice House, where we try to keep things cool, calm, collected, and mostly a bit chill, right? And if you guys have been following along at home, and I know there's a lot of you guys who do, you may have noticed a few key phrases in my video titles that might point to the fact that I've been maybe looking up, TVs and technology online lately. And if you got that hunch, you're probably right, because as a self-proclaimed casual gamer and somebody who doesn't want to spend too much on my equipment, because there's so many things and so much newer technology that you can try to find the very best thing, but sometimes it's a headache, and some of the things that were last year's model that were really great aren't that much less than what they have now. And with all these sales going on over the summer, it might be a good time to look to upgrade, right? So that's a little bit about me lately. But today, as you can tell, today I want to talk to you about, what's your refresh rate, right? And I know that with TVs, it's how many frames per second and all that stuff and blah blah blah, right? But I got to pondering about us as puppets and people, and we're not cyborgs yet. So when it comes to translating that concept to a more or organic creature like most of you, it, like I said, it got me thinking, because there's a lot of times when we tend to push ourselves, right? Whether it's for a project, or maybe like me getting hyper focused on researching things online and then rabbit trailing to other things that I kind of am interested in looking up that I've put off, right? And so kind of getting overwhelmed by all of the aspects and all the different options and bells and whistles and such, right? Because some things in life you gotta work on, right? Sometimes it's it's the AC or washing machine, the utilities that matter, and sometimes it's, hey, is this TV good enough for what I want to do, right? But all of it matters when you want to find the right thing and find a product that you're happy with. And I digress again. But when it comes to just projects in general, right? We can tend to, like I said, push ourselves very hard, and when it comes to maybe a family dynamic, or trying not to let other people down, or trying to be there for friends when we're not sure if we have the energy ourselves, right? Sometimes we really, really push ourselves to be worn thin, and we run on fumes and kind of get ragged, right? But and the thing is, I get that, because there's so often that we don't want to be a burden to anybody else. We want to be there and seem like we have it all together, and more often than not, we don't, and they don't, and none of us really do. But it's so interesting how we're so willing to go out of our way for somebody else, but if somebody is just as kind and wants to go out of their way for us, we feel like we've done something wrong, or we're in a debt, when so often that when we want to go and help somebody else, right, it's no problem. And again, this goes back to I think the wearing of ourselves out, right? Because not only it's what we do, and it's our attitudes about it, and our and so often when we say do unto others what we would have do to us, and the golden rule and all that, but so often when it comes down to it, we still have those caveats of, for thee but not for me. And most of the genuinely kind people out there, and I'm not talking about the overlords in the movies, but most of us, as I was saying earlier, tend to be much harder on ourselves than the people around us, which again goes back to the point of what's your refresh rate, right? When do you realize that, hey, I need to step away from something? And I know we're all different, because some of us are introverts, some of us are extroverts. How we recharge is definitely a gamut of different, resources and things we've figured out, either how to cope with our lifestyle or where we at, and do our best. And what works for me may not be the thing that works for you, right? Because I like to chill in my ice house and sometimes forget that the world's there, except for being online all the time. And as we all know, the parasocial network and interacting with people or entities there definitely has a different psychological wear than dealing with people IRL, right? And so, like I said, that's a huge factor for those of us who spend too much time online versus those of us who spend so much time in real life, because once again, the wear is different. So, yeah. I think that's a lot to process if you really think about it. So I'll take a pause. But I just really think about it, because like I said, for me, sometimes I just need to kind of be in my own space, in my own headspace. And I'll tell you what, playing a video game that's not connected to the internet, or playing Fortnite or some sort of MMO, or maybe watching a show that I really like that is a little bit more profound, or just disconnecting from everything. And I don't know, I think we don't even vegetate, we're not couch potatoes the way we used to, because everything has become so interactive that even in our restful states, we're not really resting. So I just want to encourage you all to, if you haven't figured out what your rhythm is, or maybe you feel like you're just so drained all the time, that maybe think about the aspects of what helps you recharge and what helps you relax and disconnect. And I'm gonna tell you that, once again, the world will keep on going, and so often we think that the world can't exist without us. But taking maybe a few hours to ourselves, or maybe just letting ourselves crash out early one night because we want to stay up and do all the things, but we're just so exhausted that all we want to do is get that good heavy REM sleep for maybe 4 or 5 hours. And who knows, maybe that's enough to kind of recalibrate, refresh, and reset us, right? It's kind of like what I talked about earlier this week in my Penguin Positivity, is that sometimes the things that, renew and refresh our batteries, or maybe it's sleep, or maybe it's putting ourselves in the environment that we can just, feel comfortable, feel at home in, and all the inciting factors and all the tensions around us just, for at least a minute, they don't exist. They're not knocking at the door or knocking down the door, so yeah. That's mostly all I had to say, but I really do hope you guys have figured out, or can figure out how to balance life and the fun, the stress, and all the different dimensions. And I haven't figured it out either, but I know we're all coping, and it's a little bit more fun when we work together and are there for each other, and try to be as kind to ourselves as we are to others. So just keep on looking out for each other and trying to take care of yourself, and be honest when you need to. So that's all I got. So until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.